Hello, this is Alex with Grow How. Today we're taking the pandemic gardening. I'm going to hook it up to my drip system. I've done this in prior videos, so down in the comments below, I'll try and remember to put a link onto that playlist. So I've already got a zone that's filtered and pressurized for drip. I'm just expanding it. Let's see how quickly we can get this done. I need to run that all the way down there. It's actually not that far. And then I need to put on smaller tubing onto the sides to irrigate that. What I'm going to be using is just generally, this is a distribution tubing right here. It's just tubing. It's just a pipe. To do the actual watering, I'm going to be using 1/4 inch inline emitters. You'll see there's a little hole there. And this will allow me to do things in the straight lines. So this is going to be a garden where I do a lot of straight lines. I could do curvy lines, I could do lots of other things, but the spacing on these is about 6 inches apart on those emitters. That's as small as you're going to get, so we'll make that work, and it should work actually really well. And there's the garden. That's what I'm hooking up to. First step is I'm going to undo my figure 8 here. That just slides off. I don't want that bend there because that's going to be a weak point in my tubing. So I'm going to cut it just right there. I'm going to throw a coupler on. The coupler is better than tubing because I use cheap tubing. I'm going to connect the next bit of tubing. These are just screw on. You shove them on as far as you can go. You tighten the screws. Make sure that actually there's a bulgy part, that they go over the bulgy part. This is not a high pressure system, so it doesn't blow apart easily. And how do you like that? I left my figure 8 on there. Just checking my pockets. You'll notice I got that apart fairly easily. This distribution tubing is fairly flexible. This is the cheap variety. That's what I had. I'm going to use it up. I'll probably have to replace it in 3 or 4 years. I'm taking some landscape staples. I'm going to go ahead and secure my distribution tubing basically where I want it. Just to keep it from moving back and forth. You can pull it on easily, it'll come out, that's fine. In each spot where I've got the nearest plants, or nearest to where I have plants, I'm going to go ahead and poke a hole. I'm using a screw. This particular model doesn't really work well, that's just not sharp enough, but by using a metal screw, it goes through the plastic fairly easily, much better than the plastic one does. If I weren't such a cheapskate, I would have a better system, but honestly, a screw is cheap. Okay, that's it. And I move to the next one. I'll show you how this plastic one works. I did sharpen it. Oh, that went in much better. Much better than the last time I used the plastic one. I bent it. It's a great thing about knives. Make adjustments quick. On plastic anyway. And I'll go on down the line everywhere where I've got plants and just put in another one of these adapters. I place the adapters everywhere where I've got plants. Those are actually really hard to see. There we go. Yeah, it's right there. I'm also going to put them on rows where I'm going to plant seeds. I don't have seed starts or plants put in yet. You'll see it's just pretty well barren there. And next, I'm going to connect my 1/4 inch hosing. Want to make sure that it goes onto that barb well. This stuff will shoot off if you're not careful. And I'm going to go ahead and clip it near the end. I'm clipping near the end. I want to make sure that I have enough to seal off. And to seal them off, I'm just going to bend partway through. Then I'm going to crimp it with a zip tie or with tape. Again, I'm going to do that on all these remaining adapters from the 1/2 inch line to the 1/4 line. With this cheaper 1/2 inch hosing, as you're trying to install your barbs and then your 1/4 inch line, keep in mind that back is not going to hold. I've actually punched a hole in it, so be careful. I usually will squeeze down So I'm going not with the barb, but against it to give it a little bit more space. But even so, sometimes it happens. Now I'm going to go ahead, line up this tubing with where my plants are. I'm going to stake it down. Otherwise, it's going to move too much and I won't get my plants watered. You may need more than one stake. I also want that emitter close to the ground, because if they're close to the ground, the water will run along the stake and will hit it'll hit soil. If it goes up in the air, that part will be missing water. You'll notice I haven't sealed off the ends with my tape or with my zip ties yet. Before I do that, I'm going to turn on the water, wash everything out of this pipe so that we can avoid some of the plugs and clogs that we often get. You might have noticed there was some real jerking. Some of those staples got pulled up a little bit. Even though this is a low pressure line, under 30 psi, it will move things. Keep that in mind. And last of all, I'm going to cut my distribution tubing. If you look at it, you'll note there's a lot of stuff I haven't done yet. Those two beds are just the first part of it, or that one bed, the pandemic bed. This is going to go all the way here. And then in this region right here, I'm going to have perennials. And then that's going to go down to the mailbox. But for now, it's the end of the line. I'm going to cut it. I'm going to put my figure 8 back on. Next step, I'm going to have to turn the water back on, check my system. I'm going to check this back side here. My hole, I don't know if you can see it right there, but it's not leaking. It's one I'll have to keep an eye on, and I'll probably have to patch it. Don't forget to check all your ends. There might be some leaking in some of them, but if it's no more than your stream of drip, put a plant there. With filming included, I ran the section of drip for the pandemic garden and prepped the next sections I would be doing. It only took me about an hour. The hard stuff is going there and starting from scratch like I did on the previous videos. If you have any questions, please put them down in the comments. Feel free to like, and if you want to keep track of the pandemic video series, go ahead, hit subscribe, and then hit the little bell that comes up, and you'll get notifications of every video I put out. Catch y'all later. Manana.